So let's just stop for a second and let's stop pointing the fingers and let's stop talking about the blatant, obvious failures of our current mayor. Everyone knows he's doing a poor job when it comes to pretty much everything, and especially building affordable housing. Let's look at the problem without emotion. Just for a second, let's look at why this problem exists here in London. And this is a great exercise. So stay with me and I'm going to show with you some incredible graphs that illustrate this. So again, I've just decided to clear the slate and look at this from a scientific, data-driven perspective and do my own research. And a lot of this came from a great article by Luke Christo from Verdict Magazine. You can go watch it, and a lot of the figures I'm quoting from that, and we vetted on our own. And the truth is this, is that London, it's a world leader. We are a world leader when it comes to our culture, our media, our advertising, and our business. We're the best. That's why I love this city so much. The problem is that the UK capital is a victim of its own success when it comes to our housing market, and I want to explain that. We are really good at creating excellent jobs, but we are really poor when it comes to building adequate housing. We know that, and I'm going to show you exactly why. As a result, we as Londoners, all of us, struggle to get decent, affordable housing, and that's why also home ownership is just a distant possibility for many of us. Let's talk about shorting of housing, and let's talk about why. According to data published by the Office of National Statistics, London's population surged to 8.8 million people in 2017, and it's continued to grow. The population in the capital has been growing 1.1% on average annually since 2012, which means this: 96,000 new Londoners appear every single year. 96,000 additional people come to this city. And look, you're welcome. We love it when this city grows because it helps build a greater city as long as we can provide housing, which we've done a very poor job of under the current Labour mayoralty and under the Tories as mayor. The whole 20 years of mayoralty has done a poor job when it comes to housing, and I'm going to show you why. Let me go on and explain more numbers to you. According to the Greater London Authority's housing report, just 20,030 new homes have been built in the capital every year on average over the last decade. So let's talk about those two numbers. Every year, 96,000 new people come to this city. Every year, only 20,000 new homes are built. It doesn't take an A-level in maths, as we would say here in Britain, or a genius in maths, as we would say in America, to realize that those two numbers, they're going the wrong way. There's more people coming in than we have new houses being built, and we're going to suffer a crisis. The problem is even when those numbers start skewing a little bit, house prices and rent go skyrocketing almost exponentially, and that's the problem. Let me show you this table on screen right now, because this is really the problem we all face every single day, and this is the cost of housing. And this is according to the consultancy firm ECA International, and it's something that we all know as Londoners, so this is not news for us, and that's this: London is the most expensive city in Europe for renting accommodation. Let's talk about real numbers. The average cost for renting an unfurnished 3-bedroom apartment in inner city London is 3 times the cost of the average across Europe. 3 times the cost. Look at that bar graph. It's triple. No wonder it's impossible to live in this city in a reasonable manner. But let's go even further than that. Let's talk about purchasing a property. Purchasing a property is also just not an option for most Londoners. Most people know that. Let's find out why. According to gov.uk's UK House Price Index, the average cost of a property in London is £486,000. Think about that. £486,000. That is £294,000 more expensive than the rest of the UK on average. I mean, that's crazy. Nearly £500,000 for a house on average here in London. According to the salary information here on the website PayScale, the average London worker earns £34,900 on average. If we plug that in to the British Bank Halifax mortgage calculator, and you can go to their website or HSBC's website, that means that if you're making the average £34,900, you could afford a mortgage of £165,800. That number is very, very much shy what you need, which is $486,000 for the average house price. In fact, you could triple that number that comes from the mortgage calculator and still barely be able to afford an average house price in London. And this is because of simply one reason. House prices have increased more than wages. I know it sounds simple, but I want to explain that exactly why. This is the real problem. This is why houses are 3 times more than most of us can afford. And I want to explain exactly why. I want to show you a graph. Let's go into this and look at data published by the Office of National Statistics again. And it shows the cost of a property in London has continued to climb by 7.7% on average over the last decade. And I'll show you this table here. However, at the same time, from 2011 to 2017, average wage increases have increased by just 1.1% annually, from 37,750 to now approaching that number I spoke earlier, about 34,900. Look at this table on the screen. I'm going to leave it up there for some time. You see these massive numbers that are going all the way to the right of your screen. That's how much housing is increasing, 7 to 8% a year. And yet your salary is only growing by 1%. This is the root of the problem. This is the root of the problem. And if this continues, which it will continue without some major change, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You think it's bad now. Wait until 2021, 2022. God forbid, under the current mayor, his policies are going to make this worse and worse and worse, to where your rent payments are going to go up, the housing prices are going to go up, and it's going to keep scaling over and over and over again. So again, London is a victim of its own success. Our houses are going up and our wages are not staying competitive. And so in order to solve this massive disparity, we've got to rethink this problem entirely from a completely different angle. And that's the problem with our current crop of politicians. And that's the problem with our current two-party system. They all have the same group think. They've been thinking the same way for hundreds and hundreds of years. They can't really come up with revolutionary new policies, because if they do, it proves their own party's policies were wrong for the past 10 or 20 years. As an independent candidate, I can bring new ideas to the table. I don't have a history that I have to explain to you. And honestly, I just wish they would just admit they were wrong and come up with some new ideas. I think we would all forgive them if it helped us acquire affordable housing.